What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the first week one recap episode of the Dome Field Advantage podcast. My name is Dylan Aber, and if you're watching this, then you are watching exclusively, as you can see on your screen right here, for the Fanatics Network. I want to thank everyone who tuned in for my last week episode that I did with Justin Patterson doing the Tennessee Titans Saints recap of, I say, preview, and then we did our rebrand stream this past Saturday and everyone tuned in. We had guests who joined us. We had the core people with us as well for the Fanatics Network. So I want to thank everyone for tuning into that as well. It was a brand new beginning for us, leaving something in the past, and we're doing something new for the present and in the future. So I want to thank everyone for tuning into that as well. But before I get into today's show, talking Saints Titans for what everyone's here for, I have the first stream for today, and today is a crazy day in history. And today, as you can see, is September 11th, and it makes 22 years that a diabolical, tragic terrorist attack hit our country and changed the life of many forever. It took the life of multiple innocent people, and it's a day that sadly all of us are going to remember forever. So I want to send my thoughts, prayers to everyone who is still being affected to this day, to all the innocent lives that were taken on that horrible, tragic day, and everyone who helped out, first responders, the police force, everyone, the firefighters, everybody who helped out that day to help things out as much as they could, because it was a lot to deal with. And I know, to this day, 22 years later, I know it's still so much to recover from. So I'm sending all my thoughts everywhere to everyone affected by it. It's like I have the privilege of going on to first and sending my condolences, but it's like I don't want to be the first one to do it because it's like I don't know what to say about it. So just wanted to get that out the way real quick. But as you could tell, I'm in a good mood. And I'm in a good mood because, yes, we had our rebrand stream this past Saturday, and we also had a Saints victory. I said if the Saints win, I'm going to be in a great mood when I come on here. And as you can tell, the big smile on my face, I'm in a great mood, everybody. So let's get right into it. Let's get right into this game. And before we get into this game, I got to hop into the chat just for a little bit. We got a few people coming in already. Dom from Top Rope Wrestling, thank you for tuning in, man. It was awesome having you back on Saturday, coming, talking with us and whatnot. So feels good to have you, in the comments, and then having you being able to come talk with us this past Saturday. Just hope to do some future streams with you. Maybe do some cross-platform between Circle of Debate and the Fanatics Network. Streets, I'm sorry, man, I can't give you any good current Jamie Merlin news because he was my guy that I was highlighting last week, and unfortunately he was rolled out. He didn't practice all week, and I knew that it wasn't going to be good news once I heard it. So he was rolled out, and yeah, horrible timing, I know, but it's okay. I feel like he'll be back next week. Jordan is my guy right here. Jordan's my backstage guy. He's day one since this show started. He's been sitting backstage and he's been doing all my work for me. And Jordan was actually supposed to be on today's episode, but unfortunately, Jordan is having a small procedure done tomorrow where he's not on the show and he's not even sitting backstage. So to my best ability, I have to run the show by myself. So Jordan, please get better because I need you back over here because I don't think I'm as prepared to do this show as I thought I was. So while some more comments keep rolling in later on, let's get into today's episode. Let's not waste any time getting into today's episode, and let's get to something I did in the preseason. And I did my 5 keynotes, but now for the regular season, I'm going to do my 5 takeaways. Is it the same thing? Yeah, it just has a different name. It sounds a little bit more better if I do 5 takeaways that I took away because it's the regular season. This stuff counts now. So some of the stuff I say is not going to be pretty, even though the Saints won. Saints won 16-15. It was a closer game, and the very first game and the very first play of the game, I should say, started off doing what the Saints always do, and that's giving their fans a near heart attack. So let's get into this one. 5 takeaways from this past game. It was a lot to deal with, and so Yeah, you get well soon. Yeah, please get better soon, Jordan. I need you back over here because I am scrambling right now to move stuff. And so my number 5 takeaway is I think my 5th takeaway I had from the first preseason game, I should say, against Kansas City, and that it's not always gonna be pretty, but a win is a win, and I will take an ugly win, and I'll take it over a pretty loss. Because I mean, this was an ugly win. I mean, it was start to finish. I feel like things could have got better for this Saints team, but unfortunately, it did not. Uh, so getting into my notes, this game started off with a fumble on the kickoff on the very first play of the game. Titans won the toss. They deferred it to the second half, and really and truly, they got ball for the first and the second half because Rashid Shaheed took out the ball from the end zone. I feel like I don't know if he could have called fair catch. I'm not sure, but I feel like he could have called fair catch, and we just could have started at 25. He decided to play hero, come out, and got stripped of the ball. They had to get challenged by it, but it was ruled a fumble, and the Titans recovered it inbounds, and they ended up getting a field goal. So it's best case scenario, they ended up with 3. Then Derek Carr before halftime, he threw a horrible interception. I don't know who this man was throwing to. Throw straight to a Titans defender. And but also, for ugly things that happened during this game, it also turned into one of the most important plays of the game at the end to a 41-yard strike to Rashid Shaheed to pretty much seal the game. I wouldn't say it sealed it, but it also put us in a better opportunity to seal the game, which was a Jamal Williams rush on either second or third down to seal that first down and ultimately seal the game for us. So while it was ugly, yes, the fumble, the interception, the multiple red zone opportunities that the Saints team had, it all could have been worse because it could have been worse because the Saints could have lost. And they didn't because the Saints scored the lone touchdown of the game to Rashid Shaheed. Shaheed was the star of this game. He only had maybe 60 something yards receiving, but he had the lone touchdown. So he turned that fumble that he had from the first play of the game. He learned from it. He got better, and he scored that one touchdown, and it ultimately led to a victory. So while I'll say a win's a win, it's not always gonna be pretty. I would rather lose. I would rather win, ugly than lose pretty. So that happens. Number 4, I'm gonna go with the injury report that came out before the Saints game, and I gotta say it was a head scratcher. A few people on the injury report, but 2 people that caught my attention on that injury report was A.T. Perry and Isaiah Foskey. Isaiah Foskey was our second round pick from Notre Dame. He's a defensive end, and I feel like we could have used him because Peyton Turner only played 7 snaps. He went down with a toe injury and never came back, and he's going to require surgery, and he's going to be out for quite some time. So Isaiah Foskey, I feel like could have really served better as that replacement, someone who could have maybe took Peyton Turner's spot. Peyton Turner was a pick a few years ago and has not lived up to that potential whatsoever. So for one, first round picks are not always going to turn out that good. But unfortunately, he has not turned out good whatsoever. So I feel like someone like Isaiah Foskey, who came in as a second round pick, made the 53-man roster, I feel like he should have got an opportunity. He was a healthy scratch. But guys like Cameron Jordan and Carl Granderson, they really, really stepped up at the defensive end spot. So thank God for that because Peyton Turner really didn't do it. So Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, and I feel like a guy like Isaiah Foskey really could have stepped up. Now, A.T. Perry, it would have been nice to have him, but we had, I think, 4 healthy receivers, or I should say active receivers, going into this game. So, it wasn't the worst thing in the world to not have him on the field, but the guy was a preseason standout. So I really thought, having him in this game, I think could have made a difference. I don't know how big of a difference because Derek Carr is the heart and soul of the offense. He's the one who's making the plays, and he was missing guys left and right. So I'm not sure how much of an impact that A.T. Perry could have made. So I'm not sure, but I would like to see him maybe next game against Carolina on Monday night, to give him a chance to shine, and maybe Isaiah Foskey to come in also with the Peyton Turner injury. Number 3, and this is back to the injury report right here. Despite only having 4 active receivers, the tight ends did not have the big day like they were expected. Our 4 active receivers were Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Keith Kirkwood. And that meant that Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, and Jimmy Graham were our 3 tight ends going into this game. And for one, I thought they were on a big day, and unfortunately, they did not. Juwan Johnson was held to 3 catches for 36 yards, and Jimmy Graham and Foster Moreau were held without a catch. So the receivers had a pretty decent day. Michael Thomas had a few catches. He opened up with a fantastic strike from Derek Carr. Rashid Shaheed, like I mentioned, had about 5-6 catches, and Chris Olave was over 100 yards. So yeah, the receivers had the bigger day, but it was projected that tight ends would have the bigger day. So I would like to see in the next game Foster Moreau actually catching some passes from Derek Carr. I like to see Jimmy Graham actually getting involved. And for one, Juwan Johnson, I thought he would have a bigger day. Guy had a fantastic year last year, and with someone like Derek Carr, I thought he would have a good day. But it was the receivers' day to shine. Tight ends really did not do the shining like I thought. So give me a second. I got a message from my mom asking why she can't find my stream. So let me message her real quick, because we have a new Facebook page. Everybody, if you're not familiar, the Fanatics Network is on a brand new Facebook page. So if you're watching on YouTube, didn't you obviously know that our network transitioned over to the Fanatics Network? But yeah, okay, they got it. So okay, so let me get back into my takeaways, get my notes back up. Number 2, okay, this where I'm gonna get a bit negative about this one, and I think it's the only negative part I have about this. And Trevor Penning. Okay, if you know the Saints roster and you watched this game yesterday, then you heard the names. Then you heard Trevor Penning, and you heard Arden Key a lot. Arden Key, who I know from LSU, was a standout over there, has been playing pretty well in the NFL. I'm not sure if he got his big break anywhere else, but if he keeps doing the things he does in Tennessee, then I don't see why he's not there for quite some time. Now, as it comes to Trevor Penning, the questionable move to start James Hurst over Andrus Peat, who I have been one of the biggest Andrus Peat's haters for quite some time. But starting James Hurst at left guard and starting Trevor Penning at left tackle was another head scratcher. I was it was a head scratcher all along, and it showed. Trevor Penning got beat multiple times by Arden Key. Arden Key destroyed this dude the entire time, and that was able for him to get to Derek Carr, whether it was a sack, whether it was a quarterback hit. And there was multiple plays where I was seeing Arden Key was getting past Trevor Penning. Luckily, that Derek Carr was able to get the ball away without getting sacked or hit. So he's a liability. I was hoping that, somewhere down in this game, Andrus Peat would get into this game. They would move James Hurst over to left tackle and put Andrus Peat back in that left guard spot. I mean, honestly, could it get any worse? I don't think so. But it was rough to watch. I'm hoping the Saints make those adjustments and everything just gets better, because the Panthers defensive line, I'm not sure how they are. I know they took a struggling loss to Atlanta, who looks like they have kind of a newer team. And I know Bijan just killed him yesterday. I know Tyler Algier, got him for 2 touchdowns yesterday as well. So it was the day for the running back yesterday for Atlanta. So who knows how this is going to go next game. I'm hoping the Saints make those the necessary the adjustments going into next game. So I guess we'll see. And number 1, and this is the big story of the Saints for week 1, and that's the defense. Defense is legit. I have said for the preseason so many times that this Saints defense is legit. They forced 3 interceptions, and last year, all of 2022, they only had 14, and they had 3 in one game, the first game of the season. So already right there, it's a big improvement. And then they recorded 3 sacks as well. So and they also held the Titans, who also have a pretty decent pretty decent thing, pretty decent offense, with Derrick Henry, and also bringing in, a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, also held him to 0 touchdowns. They kept Derrick Henry out the end zone. I think they held him to maybe 60 something, 70 something yards. I know that Marcus May was unfortunately the victim to one of his vicious stiff arms, and something I was hoping and praying that that wouldn't happen, because if we would have lost, I know that it would have been worse on us, because this picture would have been shared around everywhere, and I'm pretty sure even though we won, it's still getting shared. But luckily for us, we get the last laugh because we won. But yeah, Derrick Henry was a force to be reckoned with, unfortunately. If it was in the screen game, whether he was getting open in the backfield, whether this guy was doing anything, he was having a great day. Luckily, like I said, the Saints were able to keep him out of the end zone. They were able to stuff him for a few times. I know at one point, Demario Davis was able to knock him on his ass, and that was such a cool sight to see. Derrick Henry is always the one doing it, but for us to do it to him was awesome. So, yeah, I would gladly take that. But yeah, it was awesome for the Saints to hold him to 0 touchdowns, 5 field goals, and like I said, 3 sacks coming from Carl Granderson, Pete Warner, and Cam Jordan. I believe Carl Granderson got a sack and a half, and I think Cam Jordan and Pete Warner each combined for each a half. So that adds up to 3 right there. So that's my 5 takeaways. I'm hoping that any necessary adjustments are made, and that we don't continue a trend and start struggling with the rookie quarterbacks like we normally do. Saints are known for that. So I'm hoping that we don't struggle versus Bryce Young. I'm not sure how he looked against Atlanta. I have no game footage on him right now. I have absolutely 0 to take away from that Panthers-Falcons game. So if Kayla tunes in at some point, I know she's the resident Panthers fan of the Fanatics Network. I would like for her to maybe tell me how Bryce did, because I have 0 clue how he did. So before I get into my next topic, I would like to hop into the chat for a little bit. I know more came in. Nick from the Universal Wrestling Podcast, my guy, thank you for tuning in, man. Like I mentioned to others this past Saturday, Nick did a fantastic job hosting this rebrand stream that we did this past Saturday. So of course I want to acknowledge that. Tim, oh boy, Tim and his wife Melissa went to the Bears Packers game, and I was fully rooting for the Bears, man. I was fully rooting for you guys. I even had a bet placed on y'all to beat Green Bay. And once I saw that pick 6, I knew that was it. So it was good. Y'all had a great day. I know y'all were able to hold the American flag as y'all came out. Y'all were able to tailgate for a while. So luckily y'all had a great day, but as it comes to the game, yeah, it did not go fantastic. Speaking of Melissa also tuning in, thank you, Melissa, for tuning in as well. Yeah, 1-0 is 1-0. Yeah, also, yeah, as and most definitely 1-0 is 1-0. I will take that ugly win over that pretty loss, because the Saints are known to play pretty sometimes and at the end, and they end up getting bitten ass for that. Of course, got my mom tuning in as well. She finally found a Fanatics page to come tune into the show, and also got my sister tuning in as well. So thank you, everyone. I will hop to the chat more later once more comes in, but let's get to a new segment of the show, and that is the play of the game. And as you can see on your screen right now, it is Marcus May that is on. He was the one that was the recipient of the Derrick Henry stiff arm, and luckily he was able to redeem himself, because not long after the third quarter started, Saints went in with a 9-6 deficit. And luckily, he was able to intercept Ryan Tannehill, thanks to a tipped pass by Isaac Yiadom. And Isaac Yiadom, as I looked at the snap count for the defense, only played 3 snaps. And one of those snaps was a tip pass that led to an interception. So some guys played, I think, 50-something snaps, and, they didn't have the impact that Isaac Yiadom did. So credit to the Saints for having him make the 53. And did just fantastic. So I gotta credit the Saints on that one. Isaac Yiadom, I'm hoping he continues making those big plays And, like I said, 3 snaps and he made a big impact. So, Marcus May had one of the 3 Saints interceptions. I could have, picked anybody on that defense, but, to have a cool play like that to get tipped right into your hands, I think, yeah, that, Marcus May and Isaac Yiadom deserved that one. And now my last and final topic is okay. Also for the preseason, I did one player of the game, but I think with how this goes, I'm gonna pick an offensive and a defensive player of the game. I think that's a little bit more fair. And as you can see on your screen right now, offensive player is the heart and soul of this offense right now. That's Derek Carr, someone who got so criticized when he came to New Orleans. I honestly don't get it. For one, I know he has never won a playoff game. I know he's played in Vegas. He had good weapons around him. Of course, he had Devontae Adams coming from Green Bay. He had Hunter Renfrow. I had other guys over there, but he didn't have a great defense in Vegas, even when they were in Oakland. So I feel like that he was okay. And honestly, don't come at me for this one, but I feel like he was like the Drew Brees of the Raiders. He had a great offense around him. And I'm not saying great because, aside from Devontae Adams, aside from Darren Waller, aside from Hunter Renfrow, they were average, but the same thing for the Saints. The Saints never really had that huge playmaker other than a Michael Thomas, than a Marcus Colston, and guys in the backfield like a Pierre Thomas, Alvin Kamara, guys like that. But he never had a good defense. And the same thing for Drew Brees. I feel like if Drew Brees had a great defense, then Drew Brees would have more than one ring before he retired. So I'm not going to put all that criticism on Derek Carr. And Derek Carr came into this game, and his first offensive drive was so promising. And unfortunately, it was one of the many stall outs that we had in the red zone. And unfortunately, on paper, he had a decent game. He went over the 300-yard mark. He went 23 of 33, 305 yards, touchdown, and a pick. I did mention that ugly interception that he had before halftime, something I wish I wouldn't have seen because it was honestly one of the worst interceptions I've seen of the week. I know Deshaun Watson had a pretty rough interception versus Cincinnati as well. And honestly, there were a lot of ugly interceptions, but I think those two in particular were tough to watch. So Derek Carr, he does deserve a lot to take the blame for of how that offense looked because they did not look the greatest. But also, like I mentioned earlier, he had a tough interception. He really struggled in the red zone, but he also made the most important play of the game for finding Rashid Shaheed for a 41-yard strike. And that pretty much sealed the game for us right there. Shaheed stepped out of bounds, which I was screaming once he did that. Because I'm like, dude, you got to stay in bounds. You got to let the clock run. You got to let them use their timeouts. That didn't happen. But luckily for us, we were able to get a first down again, and they had no more timeouts. We were able to go in victory formation and exhale from holding our breath for quite a while. So Derek Carr's my player of the game. He had a fantastic interview after the game was over on the field. He really got emotional. He was saying he wanted to win for the city. And after the game was over, once he took that final knee, usually if you win your first game with your team, they normally keep the ball. This guy launched the ball into the crowd. So I think it was all about emotion. I just think, he just got caught up in the moment and just threw the ball in the crowd and never thought twice about it. So I thought it was awesome. It was awesome for him that he was able to get that moment, get that first win in New Orleans, get it over with, and, shake those butterflies because I know there was a lot of nerves going into this game. First game, the one that actually counts, because for one, he did play in the dome for preseason, but he played one series. It wasn't a full dome like they went into this past Sunday. So I think he got all the nerves out, and I think he's going to just keep playing, get better. Cause I don't think he deserves any criticism at all, because if you want to criticize people, start criticizing because Derek Carr shouldn't get criticized. I don't think, Joe Burrow should get criticized. I don't think, and as bad as it sounds, I don't think Daniel Jones should get criticized for that 40-0 loss to Dallas last night. For one, I don't think anybody deserves to get criticized right now. It's one game because the Giants got the hell beat out of them on Sunday Night Football at their own home stadium. And then all of a sudden, I feel like they can maybe turn it around. I can't tell the future. So I don't know how that's going to go for them, but I don't think Derek Carr deserves any criticism for how bad he did in the red zone, for that horrible interception, because he turned it better and he made a big play at the end. And his stats on paper look pretty decent compared to some that I saw. So 300-yard day for Derek Carr. I think he'll get better. So defense, as you can see as well, Marshawn Lattimore. I think Marshawn Lattimore, when healthy, is honestly a top 3 corner in the league. And this is not being, me being a homer. This is not me being biased about the Saints. I think when healthy, he is a top 3 corner in the league. He went up against DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, I believe, finished with, let's see if I got it right here, 7 catches for 65 yards. But Marshawn Lattimore came out of the game quite a few times. I don't know if he was just tired. I think there were 59 snap counts on the defense. He played 56. So he sat out 3 times on defense, and I believe they targeted his replacement every single time. And I think D-Hop caught every single time. So while he did have 7 catches for 65 yards, I think those 3 catches came whenever he wasn't in the game. So after that, I think Lattimore shut him down. And Lattimore even got an interception while he was covering DeAndre Hopkins. So Lattimore, I think, won the battle right there. So honestly, the Saints defense played well. I could have picked anyone. I could have picked, Lattimore like I did. I could have picked Marcus May, who got the interception. I could have picked someone on that D-line, like a Cameron Jordan. I could have picked someone like Carl Granderson, who had a fantastic day on that D-line. But I got to go with Lattimore. And, Lattimore is someone who I have really, really called out year after year after year. I had a Saints podcast in the past, and I criticized this guy. I did. I criticized the hell out of him. And I would always say that, it seems like, aside from a Mike Evans, I feel like I really feel like he couldn't cover anybody except for Mike Evans. He's been known to shut down Mike Evans quite some time, and I'm really excited for the matchups they're going to have twice this season. But with the Mike Evans news, I think that rivalry might be coming to an end unless he signs with a different NFC South team. So unless he works out some sort of deal with Tampa Bay, I don't really see it happening. But I think Marshawn Lattimore had a fantastic day. I can't wait to see how his matchup goes, whoever he lines up with this week on Monday Night Football under those bright lights in Carolina. I cannot wait for it. So before I close out the show, got to hop into the chat just a little bit more before I close things out. KPG, thanks for tuning in, dude. I'd love to have you on sometime. I know you're a big Cowboys fan. Your guys got a huge victory last night, man. It was it was a blowout, start to finish. I mean, this was crazy. And speaking of the Cowboys, I heard a crazy thing that they said on the commentating thing was that the Cowboys had a kicker they signed from the MLS, and he got drafted into the MLS, never played a day in college, never kicked in college. I think he got drafted either at the XFL, the USFL. But man, Jerry Jones finds these people, and I don't know honestly where he finds these guys at, man. But it's crazy. When I heard that, I had to kind of rewind my TV and see if I heard that correctly. But yeah. So yeah, the guys who were supposed to get it done got it done. Yes, they did, man. They did. They got it done. And I can sit here, I can point fingers all I want, but luckily, yeah, it feels good to get a win. It feels good that we were able to get a win early to where I can watch those 3:00 games comfortable, that I can watch Sunday Night Football comfortable, and that I was able to actually turn on Sports Center and actually hear talking about a victory. As much as Stephen A, Shannon Sharp, guys like that still want to criticize Derek Carr, fuck them. Honestly, talking, week 1, you can't criticize nobody right now, man. You can't. It's hard to criticize somebody right now. I mean, you can't. It's just not something I would do. But I'm not a sports analyst. I'm just a guy that gets on here and talks about the Saints every week, or say twice a week. But I'm not the criticizing type after one game. Now you get to weeks 5, week 6, then yeah, that's a different story. But yeah. Let's see. Good luck next week. We had tough. Oh, okay. Dango's okay. Well, yeah, it's a Dango tune. Yeah, man, that was a close game. Closer than I thought. I thought the Eagles would run away after that fast finish. But yeah, Yeah, close game. Marcus, dude, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, yeah, of course, you're a Saints fan as well. I wasn't able to really talk much to you during the game, so yeah, you may not be a Saints fan, but I was Carr. Yeah, dude, Derek Carr is a fantastic guy. He someone who when we signed him, I knew we were getting a good guy. I knew we were getting a good player, but for when I seen him in Vegas and Oakland, I knew that we were getting a good family man. And that's something I've been seeing on social media. This guy loves his family. Same thing like I seen from a Drew Brees. Drew Brees has a great family. And Drew was in attendance. Uh, Steve Gleason, someone who I love seeing in attendance. This guy battling ALS. I know the Titans also had a honorary captain who's also battling ALS. I forgot his name, but they did this whole thing. I believe that Mike Vrabel was the one who had the idea of having the two honorary captains who had ALS be the ones to stand by the coin toss. So I thought that was a really cool moment as well. And for Zach Bond on special teams to get a punt in the Superdome with Steve Gleason in it and in attendance, I thought was just awesome, man. It was so cool to see that. So many special moments are to be made inside the Superdome, and it's going to be a long season. So I feel like there's going to be so many cool moments made inside the Superdome. So the Saints are 1-0. It was ugly, but I'll take it. There's a lot of fans right now that would take the ugly, win that we got, and we did it. So I'll leave it at that. For one, I'm happy, and we got a good game coming up, a good early NFC South test. People criticize the NFC South, but they went 3-1 this week, and the only loss came from a team that played another team in the NFC South. So I don't know. So we'll see, but that'll do it for this special week 1 recap episode of the Dome Field Advantage podcast. You can find me on Twitter, X. I'm still on the fence of what I'm calling it this day, at Dylan Aber _ with the Saints season right coming up already. Week 1 already in the books. Come find me on there. I would love to talk some Saints football in general. I don't care. I would talk any sorts of football with anybody. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. So many talented content creators. Roto Slappers going on right after me. I believe 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I think they're going on. I forgot. But I believe the Matty Daddy and Streets are going on for Monday Night Mania. I know this guy made their graphic for him this morning. So I know they're going on later on. So check that out. Find the Fanatics Network on social media at the Fan ENT. The rest of the social medias, website, everything, the audio content, all in this video's description. So while you may not see it on the ticker, everything is in the description. Go check it out. So many talented content creators. And like I mentioned at the beginning, this is a brand new beginning for us. The Fanatics Network is a brand new beginning for us. So be sure to follow our journey as for one, other than a name, honestly, nothing else ain't really changed. There may have been a few staffing changes here and there. That's where I'll leave it. But we still have the same talented content creators that we had before. So nothing changed, just the name. So go out, check everyone out. Checking me out this Wednesday, as I will hopefully, it's unconfirmed, but I will be hopefully welcoming in Kayla, the co-host of the Queen's Takeover podcast and the co-host of the brand new Outrage Control podcast that just had their very first live stream last night. So if you haven't checked it out, go check that replay out. It was a fantastic show. They talked wrestling, sports, they did it all. So go check them out. So like I said, it's unconfirmed right now. I'm still trying to pull some strings. Hopefully she's done with work by then. So hopefully she can come and join me to talk some Saints and the Panthers. Because if not, I have no idea who else is a Panthers fan. So it's really, I'm riding on this one right here that I can hopefully get her. So, but until then, I hope everyone had a fantastic Monday. I know, like I said, with what today is, it was a difficult day for America and just for the world in general, but like whenever I talked about the Bray Wyatt passing, I'm going to say the same thing with this one. Hug your loved ones. You never know when today is going to, when the day is going to be your last, for when you never know. Like for when you never know whenever it's going to be your last day. So hug your loved ones, call someone, tell them you love them, because you never know. So once again, my thoughts, prayers go to everyone who's affected still to this day from the 9/11 attacks. We love y'all. And I will see y'all Wednesday. So y'all have a great day and have a good rest of your week.